There's always a tweet, isn't there? President Joe Biden, May 31st of this year. No one is above the law. President Joe Biden, December 1st of this year. About that no one above the law. That is with the exception of my son Hunter, who is above the law because, of course, I am above the law. What's kind of funny is that's the kind of statement that an authoritarian would make. You know, the kind of authoritarian that Joe Biden and his friends and the media have been warning us that Donald Trump is. In fact, they've been so panicked about Trump being an authoritarian that they've politicized the rule of law to prosecute and try to stop him. Which is weird because if you read this pardon of Hunter Biden, Joe says he has to do it because the rule of law has been, wait for it, politicized against him. Here's a live look at Joe Biden issuing a statement decrying authoritarians who politicize the rule of law. I feel no sympathy for the president in this, but I do feel a bit of sympathy for so many people who stuck their necks out defending the honor and the integrity of Joe Biden. And there were many such voices.
The president has ruled out pardoning his son.
Democrats and Joe Biden protecting the justice system.
And Joe Biden has very clearly said he would not pardon his son, he would not commute his sentence.
The Democrats stand for the rule of law.
It was a moment of just moral clarity.
Joe Biden has already proven he's willing to stand up for the rule of law.
Our current president of the United States has so much respect for the law that he has said he would not pardon his son.
And while I do get that Biden is a leftist, 97% of journalists and mainstream media are leftists, so they're naturally going to carry his water for him, some of these folks just were way over the top in effusive praise for the integrity of a man like the current president. Almost like the last half century of Biden's public life that included plagiarism and exaggerations and fabrications and much worse. Like all of that wasn't easily accessible as matters of public record. NYU professor and MSNBC contributor Andrew Weissman shamelessly prostrated himself before Biden's greatness.
What is before us is a president who is living the rule of law. What he is actually living by is his own son is being prosecuted, and he is allowing the norms that are required to limit a democracy to go forward.
Okay, how does this man step back into a lecture hall at NYU after this pardon? Or former CNN and current independent journalist John Harwood, who lectured everyone who knew the kind of guy that Biden was. People who insist Biden will pardon Hunter after specifically ruling it out are telling on themselves. They can't imagine someone acting on principle and keeping his word. No, John, that isn't it. We can imagine people like that. We go to church with people like that. We live with people like that. We work with people like that. We try to be people like that, people of integrity and character. See, John, what we can't imagine is someone in politics, someone who has used and abused people to climb the ladder of power his whole life, someone like that, like Joseph Biden, actually acting on principle and keeping his word. That's what we can't believe. We so often make heroes of these people, but they are consistently exposed and proven to be the most craven among us. And that's the real lesson here. No one should be surprised that an administration that lied and said inflation was transitory, that lied and said Afghanistan was some smashing success, that lied and said that our border was secure, that lied and said that Joe Biden was healthy and stable, that lied and said Biden wasn't going to drop out of the race, that administration also lied about Biden exempting his son from the same felony gun and tax charges that would land you and I in prison for a long time. No, politicians, people with access to power, they don't have to be like this, but they are. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the sooner a person realizes it, the less humiliation they will have to endure.
There's a kind of old school sort of flinty core to his conception of how you are to be in the system, how you are to be as a person, a moral person, and ultimately how to contend with questions of power. One of the things that anybody who spends time around Joe Biden comes to know is that he's had this long-running focus on how much he is bothered by abuses of power.